you should be taking your warm-up. Please just bring the quiz and set it right next to Destin, and on the other side of Destin at the table. The CJ is just studying for the test. Yay! Are you talking right now? Are you talking right now? No, I'm not.
Yeah, so once you're done, let's start working on your warm-ups. You have a question? Question 1, nothing was written for E, so you got lucky. It's only on 3, so you have better odds.
I have a little bit.
What do you mean with that better odds? It's E for every question.
What?
Oh yeah, you're right. So E, you're right. But there's no E. I don't know why there wasn't E. Just ignore the E.
E for every question. Oh. No.
Okay, nobody should be talking.
E for...
Ignore what I said. There's an extra E on question 1. Just ignore it. Choices are A, B, C, or D. There's no E. It should be a pretty quick warm-up, so once you're done with the quiz, I'll probably give you 3 more minutes, and then we'll get through the slides. We only have we have 5 slides today, then we're going to do the activity together, and then up there, then you're going to get to watch a movie. So if we get through it quickly, get through all the material, we'll be fine. Nobody should be talking. We're still working on our warm-ups right now.
I'm doing clicker today, so. I'm doing clicker today. But I still need somebody to collect the homework.
This is a new
We have to do nothing. We have to do
This
nothing.
called yesterday.
Where do we put the quiz?
Oh, that's the one I just printed out was yesterday's?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Yeah, but there's the ones from today are here in there too. It should be at the bottom.
No, everything says handbook and outline.
No, this one. I got the right one.
Okay.
I got you on 6 LP or L14.
Okay, you're one.
Oh, if it's in our notebook.
All of those are...
Okay, printing right now.
Can I go get some?
No, I can.
You always get that. What is that?
Tea? Okay, and Bravo.
Sorry, I don't know that. I'll pass it.
All right, there should be no talking. Everybody should be sitting down. warm-up activities. I need everyone to grab a seat or I'm going to start putting names on the board and people are going to get zeros for the day.
No, guys, we don't want to make on the board. Be quiet. It's not funny. All right, folks. Oh my God. What's the 0, folks? Me? Him? Who? I know. In the pocket.
Okay. All right, let's get started.
That's why you took
You have a seat?
We didn't even do your quiz yesterday.
Okay, we'll be able to do it at the end. I want to make sure that you have time to watch the movies. I want to get through. This is the last piece of information that you need to know about the time.
Is it education movie?
Team, I'm gonna point in
The movie was so fun. All right, I should hear no talking right now, so I can get started. Christian, you're on the board first. Sorry, you're on the board. No one should be talking. If you don't get this information, you're still going to be, you're still going to have a note for the test. If you want to go through.
Guys, be quiet. We're setting a bad example. This whole already said 5 people shouldn't be. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, I should hear no talking. Chikwese, please have a seat.
I can't see the slide.
Huh?
Please go ahead and collect. No, it's juice size.
Everyone calls him Joe Side.
Nobody calls me Joe size. Yes, they do.
No,
Why is my mom Joe?
nobody cares, Gabe.
Alright. Okay, is everyone ready to begin? Alright, Amir. Who else is talking? Anyone else? Michaela.
The bird's nest. And you know why I'm saying that?
Oh, wait,
It is on the what? Gay.
Alright, can we begin?
Oh.
How does it feel about? Is it a little wide? How do you spell it? M-I-K?
It's simple.
Good? Never. Not the best spelling. Okay, well let's begin everyone. I can't begin unless you all
Be
stop.
quiet, guys.
Wait, you're the one talking.
Alright, Alvin. Anyone else? Yes. I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, so today, this is going to be the last piece of information you need to know for the test. We're going to talk about 3 foreign policies from 3 consecutive presidents. So the last class, you started learning about Theodore Roosevelt. We watched the Panama Canal video. We learned about American military might. So you're going to need to write these 3 things down while I go through this. So there are 3 things to know. Theodore Roosevelt, his foreign policy was big stick foreign policy. You'll see in a minute, but if you write these down, the rest will make sense. Taft, the next president, dollar diplomacy. And then Woodrow Wilson, moral diplomacy. Moral diplomacy. Okay, the Roosevelt corollary. Who can tell me what the Monroe Doctrine is? What is it?
Okay. The American people are in control of all of the Western Hemisphere. If anyone comes in then there's going to be a problem.
100% correct. So the Monroe Doctrine came from 1823. We said that no European countries could come to the Western Hemisphere. In reality, we weren't really enforcing that. It wasn't until Woodrow Wilson, he made the thing called the Roosevelt Corollary. It was added on to the Monroe Doctrine, and it basically said, now we have this big, we have this strong Navy, we have military might. If anybody comes to North America, they're going to have to deal with us. The thing, this is the famous quote. It says, "Speak softly and carry a big stick."
Oh, wow.
So the picture. So.
Why are you showing my shirt? Shut up.
We're so.
All right.
So let's go.
Okay, so so the picture here, you have Roosevelt with his big stick. He's in the Caribbean Sea.
Wow. Sorry.
That's okay.
Looks like somebody's getting kicked out. I can't wait to see too.
Okay, a lot of people.
Raise your hand if you need to warm up.
We need to warm up.
Wait, that's.
All right, so back to the Roosevelt Corollary. So the Roosevelt Corollary is Theodore Roosevelt. He's enforcing the Monroe Doctrine. At this time, there was a lot of countries in Latin America that were accepting.
Hey, wait, come back.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my fault. It was me.
They were.
Wait, this one? Sorry, I touched it. I'm sorry.
It's all right. So there was so countries. Okay. So there was countries in Latin America that needed to build infrastructure. They needed to build things like railroads. They needed to whatever they needed for their country. So they were accepting loans from Europe. The United States, they didn't like that at all. So Theodore Roosevelt, he said that now we have this strong Navy. No one is going to interfere with any relations in the Western Hemisphere. With the two things that was able to do, it created regional stability. Because now there wasn't a threat that these countries would be overthrown. And number two, it made bad relations with Latin America because most of these countries, they felt uneasy about the United States military. So that's big stick foreign policy in the Roosevelt Corollary. It's Theodore Roosevelt using the force of the United States military to enforce the Monroe Doctrine. Next slide. Just if you're trying to remember it for tonight, just remember Roosevelt, big stick. If you think all right, Wednesday, you're on the board.
Can you put Gabe's name on the board too? For me? Gabe's name on the board.
Sorry.
Gabe, it looks like you're out. Sorry, I'm kicking you out. I just gotta find the names.
Can you replace the W with the U?
Okay, anybody else making comments is out.
Sorry. Okay. So that was Theodore Roosevelt's big stick foreign policy. The next president that would be elected, his name was Taft. He also believed in imperialism. He also believed in the ideas of Theodore Roosevelt, but he thought something different. Rather than just using the American military might, he was going to use the economy of the United States. This was called economic imperialism. What he would do is all the debt that Latin America owed to Europe, he went and purchased all that debt. So all of it. I mean, this is $1.6 billion the United States spent, which essentially means that now we have complete military control over the Western Hemisphere. Now we have complete economic control over the Western Hemisphere. Al, your question?
Didn't he keep a cow in the White House?
I don't know, maybe.
Didn't he get stuck in his bathtub?
He did.
I think so. He's a big guy. Big guy. So here we go. So the big things about his foreign policy. He believed that he was going to control the Western Hemisphere through economic means. Roosevelt thought that he was going to use his military might, Taft through dollar diplomacy. He was going to use economic might. All these countries, they were going to love the United States. We were going to have American businesses. We'd have good relations. We could have influence. Didn't exactly work. Just like having a military influence was resented. Having control over these countries' economies was also resented. So it caused a lot of problems. Is everyone okay if I jump to the next one?
Yeah. No.
Okay, I'll give you one more minute.
There's someone under there?
No.
What?
The picture here, you see Taft. He's reaching in his pockets, pulling out money because he's
Where is he?
Somebody said something about the cow in the White House. There he is.
Oh, I said that.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you did not.
Everyone good? You okay? So this is the big. So we got Roosevelt, big stick. Now we have Taft, dollar diplomacy. We're gonna do the third one. Kristen, jump up. Okay. Back to your seat. Okay, the third one that you need to know about. I did not expect you to know everything about the Mexican Revolution. You actually need to know very little for U.S. history. But what you do need to know is how the United States reacted to it. So Woodrow Wilson, he had a different idea. It was called moral diplomacy. He saw what Roosevelt and Taft were doing as immoral. Yes?
Should we write President Wilson versus Huerta? Because we're still on tap, according to my notes.
We're on to Wilson now. We're on to Wilson. We're on to the Mexican Revolution.
The president isn't the key part for this, it's just the revolution part. So
Yeah, the revolution is the key.
Well,
part.
we're going to go, the next unit, we're going to go through Roosevelt, Taft, and Wilson again. So we'll have that more distinguished, but this is just a good event to show.
This is the only things you really need to know. The United States gets involved in the Mexican Revolution twice. So the reason they get involved, the first time, the Battle of Veracruz, the United States, they're looking over their border and they see this dictator that they can control. His name is Huerta. He was a general. He kicked the previous president out of power, has him arrested, has him executed. So in Wilson's view, the government in Mexico is completely immoral. They're not legitimate. They're wrong. So Wilson, because Mexico is right next to the United States, he's looking for any reason to support a new government. What happens is something called the Tampico incident. You don't really need to know about, but essentially Huerta's forces, they arrest like 5 or 6 Navy officers from the United States Navy who are near the coastal city of Tampico. And it was an accident. So Huerta, he releases the U.S. Navy officers. But Wilson, he uses this as an excuse. You remember we learned some of the previous days that presidents, they need excuses to go to war? So this was Wilson's excuse. He says this is such a slap in the face, this Tampico incident, that he took the United States Navy and he goes to Veracruz and he captures the city of Veracruz. We're not in a full war right now. This is an isolated incident. The United States, they capture the city of Veracruz. They're able to negotiate a peace. So Huerta, this is the first incident, the Battle of Veracruz. Huerta, he is now out of power. You have a new president that comes onto the scene. His name is Carranza. He's supported by the United States. There's the revolutionaries within Mexico, they reject this. They want to have their own leadership. They want to have their own power to their own people. And there's two guys, Pancho Villa, who you read about in your warm-up, and Zapata's another one. But Pancho Villa is the big one. He's upset at Carranza being president, and he does something, pretty crazy, I think. But he attacks the United States. He's in northern Mexico, and there's a train with United States mining engineers inside of Mexico. His forces, they capture these engineers and they kill them. So the United States is already furious about this. The next thing that he does is he invades the United States. He goes to a small town in New Mexico and he kills 17 Americans. So at this point, Wilson is like, I've had enough. He sends a guy named Pershing, is the general, invades and goes into Mexico in order to hunt down Pancho Villa. He chases him for about a year, and they never catch him. The thing that distracts Wilson is World War I will kick off, which we'll learn about later. So these are the three foreign policies that we learned about today. Wilson, moral foreign policy. He goes into Mexico because he thinks that these dictators, these people that took power by illegitimate means, that aren't democratic, the United States has a moral obligation to get rid of them. It's not about imperialism, like conquering and taking Mexico. It's about having legitimate government. Taft, with dollar diplomacy, he says that we're going to control Latin America through money. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh, do you want
so
me to turn the page?
Here.
for the moral policy, is it like, do they actually behind the scenes want to take over the place, or is it actually?
They don't. They want to have a government that they have good relation to it, so that they can have like whatever they want economically, whatever they want. So the United States can basically do whatever they want. So this guy Huerta Wilson doesn't like. They later have a guy Carranza who they do like. They're always supporting the other guy. And you'll see that throughout Latin America. The United States, they use military power and they use economic power to influence local politics. We learned about the Panama Canal, and that's the same thing we did there. Theodore Roosevelt put his influence in Colombia and incited a revolution, and that's how you got Panama. We took over the Panama Canal. So same thing. So those are the last three things you're going to need to know: big stick, dollar diplomacy. So the class activities we're going to do together. Basically, we'll go to you can jump to the next slide, Ms. Cole.
Why are you getting receipts? Did you ask for permission? No.
Here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if you look at your blanks, we're gonna fill in information about the different president's foreign policy. Good question. Huh? Okay, good. We're gonna do that together, so it'll be super easy. You're gonna get all the answers. We're gonna do it as a team, so it'll be fun. Next slide. All right. Can I get a volunteer to read George Washington's quote? All right, go for it.
To do this.
It is a true policy to clear of any portion of the foreign world.
Okay, so what do you think George Washington's foreign policy is?
He wanted to stay neutral with foreign affairs.
Got it. So on your sheet, write that down. George Washington wanted to be neutral. He didn't want to get involved in foreign affairs of other countries. He didn't think it was in the best interest of the U.S. You would call him sort of an isolationist. He wasn't trying to get into foreign wars.
Check off that box.
Yep, yeah, you can check it off. That's fine. All right, that's mine now. Next slide. Okay, would someone like to read Monroe? You ready? Go for it. Yeah.
Any attempt on their part Europeans to extend their systems to each other in this Western hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety.
So, what do you think about Monroe's foreign policy? Anyone have any ideas? Wait. Yeah. Do you remember what that's called? Yeah. So So he's more of he's thinking more external, he's thinking more imperial than isolation. He's saying Europe, you cannot come to the Western Hemisphere. So that's Monroe.
So how would we describe this one?
His foreign policy, he said that the Europe or the Europeans, nobody else can come to the Western Hemisphere. He said the United States, they had full control of the Western Hemisphere. Next slide. Sorry, no, good question.
Is it isolationist or is it imperialist?
It'd be imperialist. Yeah.
Does he want to stay out?
It was the idea that they wanted to open equal trade with the nation.
No, it's not that he doesn't have relations with Europe. He doesn't want Europe to come in and colonize other countries. He doesn't want Europe to invade his nation. It's not. It's more. It's not exactly imperialism like taking over other countries, but it's more thinking outward. I mean, as long as you explain yourself, you could argue either one, but it's more thinking outward. It's not staying just within U.S.
He's
policy.
offending, so he's isolationist.
Yeah. All right. You want to read?
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
So what is Roosevelt's foreign policy mean?
He's like, so he
Hold on.
says speak softly,
Give me one more.
he doesn't like and be ready to go to war.
Yeah. So that's an extension of what's the extension of the Monroe Doctrine? Does anyone remember?
Oh, he said, don't be ready to negotiate.
Okay. Do you remember? What'd you say?
Actually.
Alex.
It's not dollar diplomacy, it's the other one. Anyone remember the extension? It starts with a C. It's called the corollary. Roosevelt corollary. It's the extension of the Monroe Doctrine. It says we're going to enforce the Monroe Doctrine. He's imperialist. Super imperialist. He's the one that the Spanish-American War, he wants to conquer Guam, he wants to conquer Puerto Rico, the Philippines. He wants to build an empire.
The picture goes so well with that.
Next slide. And this is the final one. Who wants to read? Give it a shot.
This policy, this policy has been.
Somebody else is gonna get kicked out here in a second. I think, I'm not sure who's talking, but I'm gonna start paying attention.
This policy has been characterized as substituting dollars for bullets. It is one that appeals alike to the idealistic humanitarian sentiments, to the dictates of sound policy and strategy, and to the legitimate commercial aims.
So I'm going to let someone else answer. So can anyone tell me about task foreign policy? Anybody? Go for it.
Hannah.
No, so Taft, remember we talked about dollar diplomacy?
Also, would be
He would, but so what did he want to use to?
bullets for like he would buy.
What is that?
To buy out here.
He wanted to use the United States economy, economic imperialism. You know what that? So that's it, and we still had our strong military, we still had our strong navy. Taft, he was still using those things. Christian,
He's.
okay. All right, so that's all the things you have to fill in. So with the
So is that
he's an imperialist. Taft is an imperialist.
Hey, so Michaela, and everyone else in this class, isolation is not playing any role in other countries, right? But if you don't sit down on your chair correctly, Alex, you will not be sitting in a chair the rest of class. Michaela, when the United States starts involving themselves in other people's economies and politics, is that being isolationist?
if we,
They're no longer isolating themselves, right? They're involving themselves in other countries. That make sense?
Washington doesn't want to get involved in other countries. Foreign affairs, that's isolation. Imperialists, that's people like Roosevelt, Taft. They want to have a voice of the world. Do you have a copy?
Destin. Destin. Homework.
Monroe, he would be, so he didn't want to have colonies, but he was thinking outward. He was willing, what he said in the Monroe Doctrine was that if any country comes to mess with the Western Hemisphere, he would intervene. So that is like an imperialist stance, but we didn't actually execute it.
But if anyone tried to attack
Any other nation?
Let's say in George Washington was president, if the Europeans came to attack one of the places there, well, George Washington just did nothing.
Maggie.
Well, this is the difference. If another country came to attack George Washington, he would defend himself. But if another country went to attack, say, another, like Cuba, or another country in the Western Hemisphere, that's the difference.
Those countries were under British. So,
Excuse me, sir.
Well, the Monroe Doctrine said that we wouldn't let Europe interfere at all in the Western Hemisphere. What the corollary said was that now we have this strong military and we mean it. We're actually going to enforce the Monroe Doctrine. We have the Panama Canal, we have the Great White Fleet, we have a strong Navy. We're gonna enforce the Roosevelt corollary.
is this video from the last time?
Yeah, videos from the last class. So I want to make sure you at least get to watch some of this. Sorry, any more questions?
I'm going to be collecting the Panama Canal questions at the end of class, so make sure that you're filling them out. Does anybody remember your class got a little bit further than other classes?
Who did Roosevelt hire to overcome our season split?
Wait.
You're right. It would be a different one.
Kyle, can you tell me what number that says on the board? Right here. What number is that?
'It's after this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen this?
Oh wait.
I think you saw that.
Yeah, we saw that. We haven't seen that. It was the storm. Yeah, we see that.
then the storm came.
That's the problem.